Hi guys, I'm Gwen, I'm a senior at Rezlife, and I'm so glad you guys are here. So today we are going to be starting our new series, Represent, and it's an all-student-led program. But first, let's do something fun. So if you guys have seen the TikTok challenge, the Put a Finger Down, we're gonna do the Put a Finger Down challenge, but make it Rezlife edition. So, all right, put a finger down if you've ever been on a mission trip. Put a finger down if you've ever been on the Meta Retreat. Put a finger down if you've eaten Domino's at Rezlife, for sure. Put a finger down if you've been to Totally Tubular. Put a finger down if you have ever sang We Are Your People. Put a finger down if you've ever played Bobs and Statues. I don't think I have. Put a finger down if you've ever won a game of Gaga Ball. No way. Put a finger down if you've ever been to paint night. Put a finger down if you've ever gotten on the stage to dance during worship. And put a finger down if you've ever fallen off the rock wall. Definitely have. Alright, so now put your score in the comments and let's see who has the least amount of fingers left. I think I had 3 left. Finally, join us for worship as our student band leads us. Take it away, band.
Mine says I'm not good enough. God, you're enough for me. Yeah. I've decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out, breaking out. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. Echo! Feel it breaking out like an echo. Echo in my soul. In my
When you look at me, who do you see?
When you look at me, what do you see?
When you see me, what do you think I am about?
What do you think I stand for?
I am just one person.
But I stand for something much bigger than myself.
My life was given to me by God.
And I want to use my life to show God to the world.
Some people say that youth are the future of the church.
But youth are the present of the church too.
We are the church right now.
When you see me,
I hope you see God shining through me.
It's my time.
It's your time.
It's our time
To represent.
Hi guys, I'm Molly Foster, a senior at Blue Valley West, and I'm going to Nebraska next year, go Big Red, and I'm so excited and blessed to be able to kick off this year's Rezlife Represent series. I'm sad I can't stand up on that stage one last time and give this, as that's pretty much where my story begins. When I was only 6 months old, I was baptized on that stage when it was the only church in Church of the Resurrection, and I know I was 6 months old and had no idea what was going on, but it's a pretty cool thought to think that my journey with Christ began where my Rezlife career ends. I was blessed to grow up in such a great family, surrounded by such a great church community at Resurrection. I went to Sunday school when I was a kid. I loved Vacation Bible Camp. I got my 3rd grade Bible. I did all the churchy things a kid did, but I never really felt anything by it. So when I was in middle school and I could kind of make my own decisions, I never went to Rezlife in middle school. I never went to Sunday school. I didn't even really enjoy going to church. Even when I did go, I didn't feel anything by it. I just kind of felt as if they were talking at me and it wasn't really sinking in. I just kind of sat there and glided by and hoped to get it over with as soon as I could. It wasn't until 8th grade that I got a huge wake-up call that I needed Christ in my life, and not only could he just be in it, I need to be fully in it and with him. In 8th grade, I went through confirmation while going through one of the darkest parts of my life. I never doubted my religion or faith. I just never gave it everything I had, which I soon realized I could not just glide through life without having God in my life and without being fully present with him. In the winter of that same year, I began to battle with some deep depression and anxiety issues. I never tried to get help, I never prayed on it, I just tried to do it on my own. When my parents got involved and got help, I was hospitalized for 3 nights and 4 days of February 2016. More than ever did I realize how much I needed God in my life. It was one of the most terrifying few days of my life as I felt so helpless and out of control. I remember one night when I was there, my grandma called me, and that's when I realized that I need Christ with me when I'm going through this. She called me and said, the devil is working hard, but God is working harder. And that motivated me more than anything to get better and get help. The next day, I was released from the hospital and got to go home. After that, life was a little weird around my house, but I had one goal in mind, and that was to get better. I started to meet with a therapist, and I also started to meet with Pastor Wendy every single week. She not only helped me with my life issues, but she helped me with my path towards Christ. Every time I met with her, I left feeling just a sense of freedom and joy and strength from that. 3 weeks after I was released and after I started meeting with them, I was confirmed, but the person who confirmed me was Pastor Wendy, and I know anybody could have confirmed me and it could have been the same thing. But having Pastor Wendy confirm me proved that God works in the most random ways and He's always with us. After I was confirmed, I still had the goal to get better, but I had a new goal, and that was to dedicate my life to Christ. To be blunt, I failed both of those over and over again. I felt myself slipping back to my old ways and just gliding through life. I went to Res every week freshman year. I went to Metamorphosis. I went on mission trips, which I loved, but I still felt as if something was missing. So when sophomore year rolled around, I knew I needed something bigger. I needed a change. So Todd Davidson introduced me to the serve team, and I signed up for it, and I loved it. And that changed everything for me. It changed the way I acted in church. It changed the way I thought about church. It changed my whole mental state surrounding God and religion. Leading a group of middle school girls not only gave me a sense of leadership and responsibility, but it changed me on the inside. It changed, like I said, everything that I thought about. Every week I looked forward to seeing my girls and hearing what they had to say about worship, about the scripture, but also all that juicy middle school drama. And sometimes we might have gotten carried away with that, but that made it more fun. That year I had the opportunity to lead a group of 6th grade girls at Metamorphosis. Through leading, I was able to truly see God's work and what He does to people. It's sort of hard to explain, but being able to step back and see all the wonders and how God works through a room and just see everybody praising and worshiping, and you can just feel the presence of God, was something I'll never forget. I also had the opportunity to lead morning prayer, and we weren't really sure how the middle schoolers would respond, and we wanted them, the goal was for them to think of any person or thing or prayer they could think of and just shout it out in the silence. And at first we were a little nervous, but we went with our idea anyways, and after about 10 seconds of silence, we had them shouting out names and things to a group full of strangers about something they were so vulnerable about, and that blew me away. It was amazing to see. That weekend at Meta, the theme was wonder. We talked about all the wonders Christ had if we just let Him in. That spoke to me and forced me to reflect on my past year or so and how I was just gliding through life again. On the last night, they told the story of Jesus healing the blind man. Anyone who went that year probably remembers them then, the leaders then placing mud on our eyes and having them wipe it away to symbolize being able to see Christ again and see Him fully. The mud definitely got on my eyes, but when it was cleared off, I felt not only a physical reset, but a mental reset too. In John chapter 9, verse 33, when wiping off the clay, Jesus states, "If this man were not of God, he could do nothing." If we are not with God and not fully with Him, we can do nothing. Not only does Jesus literally healing a blind man show God's work, but Him saying without Him we can't do anything shows His true power and grace. I learned through that story and having the mud wiped off my eyes that I still wasn't fully in it. And I had to keep letting Him in. I had to keep wiping the mud off my eyes for me to be able to see Him clearly. I haven't done anywhere near a perfect job, but I've done my best and gave it my all to be fully present so that God can continue working on me and with me so that I can see Him clearly, that I can show the work of the Lord not only inside the church but outside and in my daily life and show the light of Christ everywhere I go. So now for a total topic change, I'm going to talk about school for a minute. And I think for the first time in the history of teenagers, none of us are going to be too upset about it because we all actually kind of really miss school somehow. Through my 4 years in high school and even before, I read a lot of books. And whether I actually had genuine interest in it or was forced to read it, I came to the conclusion that they all have one common theme, and no, it's not unnecessary motifs about light. It's that none of the stories truly end, and all the characters have to work to get something or work to get somewhere. For example, in every book we read, the character is dealing with some sort of inner conflict that causes disruption to their outside world. In Frankenstein, there was a lot of disruption because he created a monster that ended up hurting a lot of people, but he did it out of loneliness and spite, which were his inner conflicts. I don't want to spoil the end of Frankenstein for anybody, but anybody who has read it can agree that no one really knows the true ending to Frankenstein. Nobody really knows what happens to the remaining characters. Nobody really knows how it ends. Books are a lot like life. They have an ending, but after that, one can imagine a million things that could continue after. Sometimes we're lucky enough to get a sequel or a whole series so the author can tell us, but even after that, we can just keep imagining and imagining what happens next. Because of that, a story is never truly finished, books or life. Our story will never be finished being written, but we have to work to write it. When I was in the hospital, my parents brought me some books, my favorite of those being the Calvin and Hobbes comics. I'd read those every night. I'd read their crazy adventures. They'd bring me joy. They'd make me laugh. And it was the little things like comics that got me through that. But the big thing, being Christ in my life, that truly made me strong. He gave me courage to push on. There was a verse that I learned during confirmation as I was going through that dark place in my life, that because that was happening at the same time, I'll never forget this verse. Deuteronomy 31:6 states, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." After Moses and the Israelites wandered around what seemed like nothing for 40 years straight, they're finally entering the promised land. Through all the fear and doubt, God was by them every step of the way. For 40 years of what seemed like wandering to get nowhere, God was with them and never left them. I know I felt like I was wandering at one point, and I still sometimes do, but I remind myself that God is never going to leave our side. We just have to let him guide us. We just have to let him in, and we have to believe in him. We have to trust him, and we need to know that he will never leave us nor forsake us.
Wash your hands and say your prayers, because Jesus and germs, they're everywhere. Stay tuned for announcements.
Once again, thank you guys so much for joining us. We're so glad that you're here. And now we have a couple announcements to keep you guys engaged throughout the week. We do this on Sundays as well. Join us here on YouTube at 9 a.m. for Sunday service. We're also doing driveway visits. Want us to come and visit you on your driveway at a safe distance, of course? We would love to see you. Go to core.org/students to sign up for a staff member to come and visit you. If you would like a prayer, please click the link down below to submit a request or reach out to a staff member or your small group leader. Finally, like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel to stay up to date with the content being released. You may have received a link from your small group leader for your Zoom meeting. You can go ahead and head there now. Otherwise, go to core.org/students to find out how to connect with your small group leader on Zoom. All right, guys, that's all we have. See you next week for Represent, and bye!